Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Joshua T. Culkin's Truer here, Byron Insidious. I'm going to try to make this a brief video. First of all, shame on me for not having heard or read about this sooner. Started listening to the latest system update episode from Glenn Greenwald this morning, and the very title of the episode raised the hackles on the back of my neck. And I began listening to the episode, and thankfully, within the first 6 minutes, he discussed exactly the portion of the episode title that drew my immediate attention, ire, and concern. Apparently, about a week ago, along with one of her other senatorial colleagues, Minnesota's Senator Amy Klobuchar, the senior senator from this state, sent a letter to Amazon requesting, practically demanding, that they remove hosting capabilities through Amazon Web Services for Rumble and Substack because of, quote, the prevalence of disinformation on the platform. Rumble and Substack, especially Substack, that's the primary focus of my grumbling here, are locations for people of an artistic bent to offer their creative works to an available audience that they may or may not have access to elsewhere or elsewise. Particularly small-time or independently minded artists, storytellers, comic book artists, visual illustrative artists, find a niche market and audience available to them on Substack they might not otherwise find available to them. Likewise, because there's not such a gigantic audience to find themselves drowned out in, video production artists and content creators and storytellers of all stripe also find themselves populating places like Rumble in order to find a way to produce their material and offer their artistic visions to an audience that they may not otherwise have access to. And it's a way to try and get a foothold into a broader marketplace. These are artists. These are creative voices, especially on Substack, which is populated by literally tens of thousands of storytellers, poets, genre fiction writers who are trying to simply take a place and utilize it for offering their artistic, creative musings and offerings, their creations. Saying that you want to have these platforms completely demolished in their functionality and accessibility simply for the fact that you don't like that there's a handful of folks who use those platforms to make statements or to make make on offer musings from a socio-political angle that you don't like and labeling it misinformation to completely render unusable the platform to every creative voice that utilizes Substack and sometimes Rumble, because you don't like that a handful of folks use it for political messaging that goes against what you prefer. Fuck you, Miss Klobuchar. Seriously, take a giant bent stick and shove it up your arse. This is no way to treat people who are just trying to find an artistic outlet. You want to silence those people who you have genuine, maybe completely fabricated exceptions with, all for the sake of you don't like them. You're going to end up muting and silencing every creative, every artistic voice on those platforms as well. Get bent. This is exactly why people need to be aware that just because somebody is standing in that location or using that service to say things that you don't like, just because you don't like their messaging, you're going to wipe out the platform entirely. What then happens to the creatives who are there? You don't give a shit about them. So why should they continue to support you? I contacted Ms. Klobuchar's Washington office and effectively left a non-vulgar version of this statement with the gentleman who actually picked up the phone and asked what he could help me with today. I said, "Here's a message I'd like you to take down and relay to the senator verbatim. You are painting with a broad brush everybody on Substack as a disinformation or misinformation peddler simply because there's a handful of people who you don't like what they have to say or their perspective on the platform. You're going to strip every creative person, every artistic voice on that platform just because there's a few people who you don't like there. Screw you. This is no way to carry forward with the idea of free expression. Artistic expression requires free expression in order to exist. And why should creatives or artistically minded people continue to vote for and support the senator if she's going to remove their capacity to have a voice? And I'm going to spread that message as far and wide as I can throughout the state of Minnesota, especially amongst my fellow creative individuals, to say, stop supporting somebody who wants to silence you. Later today, after they open for business, I intend to contact the folks at the Loft Literary Center in downtown Minneapolis and ask them if they have been made aware of the fact that Senator Klobuchar apparently wants to silence creative voices just because in amongst them might be one or two people who she finds detestable. This is the same kind of crap that lost Hillary Clinton the election in 2016 because she labeled half of America a, quote, basket of deplorables. You do realize there are people who just don't agree with your political alignment, but who are genuinely talented, artistic, creative voices who deserve access to an audience. The audience doesn't have to support them, doesn't have to pay for their products, doesn't have to support financially or even through rah-rahs their artistic endeavors and their creations. You don't have to enjoy the material they put out there, but you don't have a right to muzzle them. Okay? So I am calling upon everybody who uses Substack as a location through which to provide their artistic voice. Contact Ms. Klobuchar's office and let them know you don't get to silence us.